Adrian Vale owned half the city, but he couldn't own the woman standing at that crosswalk. 6 months after their cold divorce, there she was. Lila Monroe, his ex-wife, the only person who ever walked away from him and survived. But she wasn't alone anymore. She was pregnant. In that frozen moment, everything Adrian had built, power, control, an empire of fear, meant nothing, because the child she carried could be his, and the danger following her, that was definitely his. If you want to know whether love can survive betrayal, stick around until the end. Hit that like button and comment your city so I can see how far this story travels. The rain started exactly when Adrian Vale's day went to hell. Not the kind of rain that whispered against windows or drummed romantically on rooftops. This was the brutal, unforgiving kind that turned streets into rivers and made grown men run for cover. The kind of rain that felt personal. Adrian didn't run. He never ran. His black Aston Martin idled at a red light in the oldest part of the city, where the buildings still had character and the streetlights flickered like they were tired of trying. The wiper swept across his windshield in rhythmic precision, clearing water that was replaced instantly, endlessly. He should have been downtown. He had a meeting in 20 minutes with the Castellano family, a meeting that would either expand his territory into the Port District or start a war that would paint the streets red. Carlos was waiting. His entire security team was positioned. Everything was planned down to the second. But Adrian had taken a detour. He told himself it was strategic. This neighborhood bordered neutral territory, and he liked to keep an eye on the borders of his empire. That's what he told himself. The truth was harder to swallow. The truth was that he'd driven past Lila's old apartment 3 times this week, and he didn't know why. 6 months. It had been 6 months since the divorce was finalized. 6 months since she'd signed the papers without a word, walked out of his mansion, and disappeared into a life he wasn't part of anymore. 6 months since he'd convinced himself it was better this way. Cleaner, safer, smarter. 6 months of the most successful expansion his organization had ever seen. 6 months of waking up in an empty bed that used to smell like lavender and coffee. The light turned green. Adrian's foot hovered over the accelerator, but he didn't move. Something had caught his eye at the crosswalk ahead. A woman with a black umbrella, waiting to cross. The umbrella was losing its battle with the wind, turning itself inside out, and she was struggling to fix it with one hand while the other... Adrian's breath stopped. The other hand was cradling her stomach, visibly pregnant. Maybe 6 months. The umbrella tilted just enough for him to see her face. Lila. The horn from the car behind him blared, sharp and impatient. Adrian didn't hear it. He didn't hear anything except the rushing sound in his ears, like his entire world had just tilted off its axis and was trying to right itself. It was her. Same dark hair, longer now, falling past her shoulders in wet tangles. Same delicate features that had always made her look younger than 32. Same way of standing, straight-backed, proud, even when she was clearly exhausted and drenched to the bone. But everything else was different. She was pregnant. The math hit him like a fist to the chest. 6 months divorced, visibly pregnant, which meant... The horn blared again, longer this time, angrier. Adrian's hands tightened on the steering wheel until his knuckles went white. His mind was racing, calculating, trying to make sense of what he was seeing. Lila stepped off the curb, moving carefully, one hand still on her stomach. Protective. The umbrella had finally given up completely, and rain poured over her, soaking through her coat. She didn't see him. She was focused on getting across the street, on not slipping, on protecting the child she was carrying. Adrian's child? The possibility detonated in his chest like a grenade. He'd been careful, they'd always been careful, but there had been that night, the last night before everything fell apart. The night when careful had been the last thing on either of their minds. The car behind him swerved around with another angry honk, the driver shouting something Adrian didn't process. More cars followed, streaming past, their headlights cutting through the rain. Lila was halfway across the street now. She stumbled slightly on the uneven pavement, caught herself, kept moving. Adrian's hand was on the door handle before he'd made a conscious decision. Every instinct screamed at him to get out, to go to her, to demand answers, to know. But he didn't move, because another thought had arrived, colder and sharper than the first. If she'd wanted him to know, she would have told him. 6 months. She'd had 6 months to call, to text, to show up at his door. She knew where to find him. Everyone in the city knew where to find Adrian Vale. She hadn't come, which meant either the child wasn't his or she'd deliberately chosen to keep it from him. Both possibilities felt like knives. Lila reached the opposite sidewalk and kept walking, her pace steady despite the rain, despite the obvious exhaustion in her shoulders. She didn't look back, not once. The light turned red again. Adrian sat there, engine running, rain hammering against the car, and watched her disappear around the corner. His phone buzzed. Carlos, wondering where the hell he was. The Castellanos were early, getting impatient, making comments about respect and punctuality. Adrian texted back 4 words. Handle it. I'm busy. Then he put the car in gear and turned down the street Lila had taken. He found her 3 blocks later, standing under the awning of a closed bookstore, trying to wring water out of her coat. The broken umbrella lay in a trash can beside her. Adrian pulled up to the curb and rolled down the passenger window. For a moment, she didn't notice. She was focused on her coat, on staying warm, on the small private world pregnant women seemed to inhabit. Then she looked up. Their eyes met through the rain-streaked window, and Adrian watched every emotion cross her face in the span of a heartbeat. Shock, fear, anger, and something else he couldn't quite name. Something that looked almost like relief before she shut it down completely. Lila. Her name came out rougher than he intended, like he'd been holding it in for 6 months and it had gone sharp with neglect. She straightened, one hand still on her stomach. Adrian. Just his name. No emotion. No inflection. Like he was a stranger. It cut deeper than any insult could have. Get in the car, he said. No. It's pouring. I'm already wet. Lila. I said no. Her voice was quiet but absolute. The same voice she'd used when she'd told him she wanted a divorce. The voice that meant she'd already made up her mind and nothing he said would change it. Adrian's jaw clenched. We need to talk. We already talked 6 months ago in a lawyer's office. Remember? That was before... He gestured toward her stomach, unable to finish the sentence. Lila's hand moved protectively over the swell of her belly. Before what, Adrian? Is it mine? The question hung in the air between them, brutal and necessary. Lila's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. Something that might have been pain. Does it matter? Does it... Adrian's control cracked. Does it matter? Are you seriously asking me that? What would you do if I said yes? She stepped closer to the car, close enough that he could see the shadows under her eyes, the exhaustion etched into features that used to glow. What exactly would you do, Adrian? Stake your claim? Demand your rights? Take control of another thing you think belongs to you? Each word landed like a punch. That's not fair. Fair it, Lila laughed, sharp and bitter. You want to talk about fair after everything? I gave you everything. You gave me a cage, she shook her head. A beautiful, expensive cage, but a cage all the same. And when I asked for the one thing you couldn't give, trust, partnership, freedom, you chose your empire instead. I chose to keep you safe. You chose to keep me controlled. Lila's voice dropped. There's a difference, Adrian. I just wish you could see it. The rain intensified, drumming against the car roof like bullets. Adrian's mind was racing. He wanted to argue, to defend himself, to make her understand. But 6 months of silence had given him time to think. And the worst part was, she wasn't entirely wrong. The baby, he said instead. Lila, please, just tell me. She studied him for a long moment, her dark eyes searching his face for something he wasn't sure he could give. It doesn't matter whose child this is, she said finally, because you're not going to be part of their life. That's why I didn't tell you. That's why I left. The word should have made him angry, should have triggered the instinct to fight, to claim, to dominate. Instead, they just made him feel hollow. You don't get to decide that alone. I just did. Lila stepped back from the car. Go back to your empire, Adrian. Go back to your meetings and your territory and your power plays. That's what you're good at. That's what you chose. Lila, goodbye, Adrian. She turned and walked away, moving carefully on the wet sidewalk, one hand on her stomach, the other pulling her soaked coat tighter. Adrian sat there, hands on the wheel, watching her go for the second time in 6 months. This time felt worse, because this time she was taking part of him with her. 20 minutes later, Adrian was in his office, 40 stories above the city, staring at the rain-blurred skyline through floor-to-ceiling windows. Carlos had handled the Castellano meeting. The port deal was done. Territory expanded, power consolidated. Another victory in a long line of victories that was starting to feel meaningless. "You look like hell, boss." Adrian didn't turn. He knew the voice. Marcus Chen, his head of security, and the closest thing he had to a friend. "I'm fine." "You're standing in the dark, staring at nothing. That's not fine." Marcus moved closer, his reflection appearing in the window beside Adrian's. "What happened?" "I saw Lila." Marcus went quiet. He'd been there through the marriage, through the slow deterioration, through the divorce. He knew the whole sorry story. "How is she?" "Pregnant." The silence stretched longer this time. "Shit," Marcus said finally. "Is it?" "I don't know." Adrian's voice was flat. "She won't tell me." "Did you ask nicely?" Despite everything, Adrian almost smiled. "Define nicely." "That's what I thought." Marcus sighed. "You want me to look into it?" "No." The answer was immediate and sharp. "Stay away from her, Marcus. I mean it." "Okay." Marcus held up his hands. "So what's the plan?" "There is no plan." "Boss, she made herself clear. She doesn't want me in her life, or the baby's life. So that's it." "Since when do you take no for an answer?" Adrian finally turned, meeting Marcus's skeptical gaze. "Since I realized that maybe she was right. Maybe I did cage her. Maybe the best thing I can do for her is stay away." "You really believe that?" Adrian looked back at the window, at his own reflection, expensive suit, hard eyes, the face of a man who'd built an empire on fear and control. "I don't know what I believe anymore." His phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Just 3 words. "She's being watched." Adrian's blood went cold. "Marcus, trace this number. Now." Marcus was already moving, pulling out his own phone. "What is it?" Adrian showed him the screen. "I don't know, but if someone's threatening Lila, we'll find them." Marcus was already typing. "But boss, if you go full warpath on this, she's going to know you're involved." "I don't care. You just said you were staying away." "That was before someone threatened her." Adrian's voice dropped to something dangerous. "I might not be her husband anymore. I might not be the baby's father, but nobody puts a target on her back and walks away." Marcus looked up from his phone. "Boss, the number's a burner, already deactivated. Whoever sent this knew what they were doing." Adrian's mind was already racing through possibilities. Enemies, rivals, people with grudges against him who might see Lila as leverage. The list was longer than it should be. "Pull everything we have on her movements over the last 6 months, Adrian said. "Where she's living, where she works, who she's been in contact with. That's going to look a lot like stalking." "I don't care what it looks like. Someone's watching her, Marcus. Which means someone knows she was married to me, which means someone's using her to get to you." "Exactly." Marcus hesitated. "Or someone's using you to get to her." The thought hit Adrian like ice water. "What?" "Think about it, boss. Who did Lila know before she met you? Friends, family, ex-boyfriends? People from her old life." "She didn't have an old life. She moved here from Seattle with nothing but a suitcase and a dream of being a teacher." "Everyone has an old life." Marcus's voice was gentle, but firm. "Maybe it's time you asked about hers." Adrian didn't sleep that night. He sat in his penthouse, surrounded by files that Marcus had pulled, bank records, lease agreements, employment history, the documented evidence of Lila's life after him. She was teaching part-time at a small private school in the arts district, living in a 1-bedroom apartment in a building with questionable security. No car. No credit cards in her name. Living small, living quiet, living careful, living scared. The realization made his chest tight. His Lila, the woman who used to laugh at his paranoia, who'd rolled her eyes at his security protocols, who'd insisted on taking the subway just to prove she could, was living like someone in hiding. Because of him? Or because of something else? His phone rang at 3 in the morning. "Marcus." Tell me you found something. Maybe. Marcus sounded tired. I went through her phone records from the last 6 months. Mostly local calls, nothing suspicious. But there's one number she calls every Tuesday at exactly 8 p.m. Never misses. Calls last exactly 15 minutes. Who? Blocked. But I tracked the cell tower. Calls originate from the same location every time. Millbrook Psychiatric Facility. Adrian's blood ran cold. The mental hospital? It's a private facility, high-end, specializes in long-term care for patients with severe conditions. I'm trying to get patient records, but they're locked down tight. Someone in Lila's life is in a psychiatric hospital, and she never mentioned it? Looks that way. Adrian's mind raced. Her parents? Dead. Car accident when she was 19. No siblings. No close family that I can find. Then who? I'll keep digging. But boss, if you want real answers, you're going to have to ask her. She won't talk to me. Then make her. Adrian closed his eyes. That's exactly what she's afraid of. Me making her do things. So what's the alternative? Let someone threaten her while you sit here with your noble intentions? Marcus had a point. Find out who's in that facility, Adrian said, and double the security around her building, quietly. She can't know. Already done. And Marcus? The person who sent that text, they wanted me to know they're watching her, which means they want me to react. So don't. I can't just do nothing. Then be smart about it. Because if you go charging in like her avenging angel, you're playing right into someone's hands. Adrian knew Marcus was right, but every instinct he had was screaming at him to go to her, to put her in a secure location, to surround her with armed guards until whoever was threatening her was buried in a hole so deep they'd never see daylight again. The old Adrian would have done exactly that. The man Lila divorced would have taken control without asking. But maybe that was the whole problem. Set up surveillance only, Adrian said finally. Eyes on her building, her school, her routes. No interference, no contact. Just watch and report. You sure about this? No, he wasn't sure about anything. Do it. For 3 days, Adrian lived in a hell of his own making. He went to his meetings, made his deals, expanded his empire, but played the role of the untouchable crime lord who had everything under control. And every night, he sat in his office and read Marcus's surveillance reports. 7:15 a.m. Subject left apartment building. Walked to corner coffee shop. Ordered decaf latte and blueberry muffin. Ate alone. Looked tired. 3:30 p.m. Subject left school building. Stopped at pharmacy. Purchased prenatal vitamins, ginger tea, heating pad. Appeared to be in discomfort. 8 p.m. Subject made weekly phone call. 15 minutes exactly. Appeared emotional afterward. Each report was a knife because they painted a picture of a woman going through pregnancy alone, dealing with discomfort alone, being scared alone. And he was sitting 40 stories above the city, reading about it like she was a stranger. On the 4th day, Marcus came to his office looking grim. We've got a problem. Adrian looked up from the contract he wasn't reading. What kind of problem? The kind where your ex-wife just got a visitor who scared her badly enough that she called 911, then canceled before police arrived. Adrian was on his feet before Marcus finished talking. Who? Blonde woman, mid-30s, expensive clothes. Showed up at Lila's apartment an hour ago. They talked in the hallway. Our guy couldn't hear the conversation, but he said Lila went white, backed into her apartment, and slammed the door. The blonde left, but she was smiling. Did you get a picture? Marcus pulled out his phone and showed him. Adrian's world tilted. Serena Hale. You know her? Know her? Adrian had spent 2 years of his life trying to forget her. Serena Hale. Elegant, intelligent, and completely unstable. She'd been in his orbit years ago, before Lila, during a time when Adrian's reputation had attracted all sorts of dangerous attention. Serena had been different. Educated, sophisticated, dangerous in quiet ways that had nothing to do with violence. She'd wanted him. He'd made it clear he wasn't interested. She'd made it clear she didn't accept rejection well. Things had escalated until Adrian had been forced to get lawyers involved, restraining orders, the whole mess. Eventually she'd disappeared and he'd assumed she'd moved on. He'd been wrong. She's obsessed, Adrian said quietly. Clinical level, Last I heard, she was in Europe. What the hell is she doing in my city? More importantly, what's she doing at your ex-wife's apartment? Adrian was already moving, grabbing his jacket, his keys. Get the car, now. Boss, if you show up there, I don't care. Serena's not just dangerous, she's methodical. If she's targeting Lila, it's because she knows exactly how to hurt me. Through your ex-wife and maybe baby? Exactly. Marcus grabbed his own jacket. This is going to complicate things with Lila. It's already complicated. Adrian was at the elevator, jabbing the button repeatedly. At least this way I'm honest about why I'm there. To protect her. Yes. Whether she wants you to or not. Adrian stopped, looked at Marcus. You have a better idea? No. But I'm just saying, this is exactly the kind of thing that made her leave you in the first place. I know. Adrian stepped into the elevator. But if something happens to her because I respected her boundaries, I'll never forgive myself. The drive to Lila's apartment took 12 minutes. Adrian spent all of them trying to figure out what to say, how to explain, how to make her understand without sounding like the controlling obsessive she'd divorced. He failed to come up with anything good. Marcus parked on the street, in a spot that gave them a clear view of her building's entrance. You want me to come up with you? No, stay here. Watch for Serena. If she comes back, I'll handle it. Adrian took a breath, then got out of the car. The building was exactly as depressing as Marcus's reports had made it sound. Peeling paint, broken buzzer, a lock that would surrender to a strong breeze. Adrian took the stairs 2 at a time, his heart pounding harder than the physical exertion warranted. 3rd floor, apartment 3C. He raised his hand to knock, then hesitated. What if she refused to open the door? What if she called the police? What if he was making everything worse? Before he could decide, the door opened. Lila stood there, one hand on the doorframe, the other on her stomach. She looked exhausted and terrified and somehow still beautiful in a way that made his chest ache. I knew you'd come, she said quietly. Lila, Serena told me you'd send someone to watch me. I didn't believe her until I spotted your man at the coffee shop this morning. Her voice was flat, emotionless. Very subtle, Adrian. He orders the same thing I do and sits 3 tables away. Real professional. Adrian's jaw clenched. He's there to keep you safe. He's there because you can't help yourself. You have to control everything, even the things you claim you don't want anymore. That's not... Adrian stopped, forced himself to breathe. Can I come in, please? Lila stared at him for a long moment. Then she stepped back, opening the door wider. The apartment was tiny. One room that served as living room, bedroom, and kitchen, clean but sparse. Nothing like the mansion they'd shared with its 8 bedrooms and $1 million view. This was a place for hiding, not living. Lila moved carefully to the small couch, lowering herself down with the cautious movements of someone whose body had become unfamiliar. Say what you came to say, Adrian, then leave. Adrian stayed standing. If he sat, if he got comfortable, he might never leave. Serena Hale is dangerous. Whatever she told you. She told me you two had a relationship, that you discarded her when someone prettier came along, that you have a pattern of using women and throwing them away. Every word was a carefully placed mine. That's not what happened. Isn't it? Lila looked up at him, eyes burning. Because from where I'm sitting, it sounds familiar. I never had a relationship with Serena. She pursued me. I rejected her. She became obsessed. I got restraining orders. Adrian's voice was controlled, but his hands were fists. She's mentally ill, Lila. Clinically diagnosed. And if she's come back, if she's targeting you, it's because she knows the best way to hurt me is through you. Through me. Lila laughed bitterly. We're divorced, Adrian. I'm not yours to hurt anymore. That's not... He stopped. Started again. Whatever we are or aren't to each other, Serena doesn't care. She sees you as mine because I married you. Because I... He couldn't finish. Because what? Because I loved you. The words fell into the small apartment like stones into still water. Lila's expression didn't change, but her hand moved protectively to her stomach. Loved, past tense. No. The word came out harsher than he intended. Not past tense. Never past tense. You can't just... Lila's voice broke. You can't come here and say things like that. You can't show up at my door after 6 months of silence and expect, I know. Adrian moved closer, then stopped himself. Distance. She needed distance. I know I have no right. I know I hurt you. I know I controlled you instead of trusting you, and I know why you left. But Lila, please, let me protect you, not because I'm trying to control you, not because I think I own you, but because if something happens to you, if something happens to that baby, his voice cracked. I can't. I just can't. Lila was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was small. She said she'd make sure I lost everything. The baby, my job, my life. She said it very calmly, like she was discussing the weather. Adrian's vision went red. She threatened the baby? She said accidents happen all the time, especially to women who don't know when to disappear. Lila's hand trembled on her stomach. Adrian, I'm scared. I've been scared for weeks, ever since I started getting those messages. What messages? Lila reached for her phone on the coffee table, unlocked it, handed it to him. Adrian scrolled through them, his fury building with each one. Such a pretty apartment. Shame about the lock. Does the baby kick, or is it too early? He doesn't know, does he? About the secret you're keeping. Tick-tock, Lila. Time's running out. How long? Adrian's voice was deadly quiet. 3 weeks. Ever since I started showing. And you didn't call me. Call you? Lila's laugh was sharp. And say what? Help, your crazy ex-girlfriend is stalking me? You would have swooped in, taken over, and proved exactly why I was right to leave you. So instead you dealt with death threats alone while pregnant? I'm not helpless, Adrian. I never said you were. He handed back the phone. But you're also not invincible, and neither is the baby. The baby. Adrian looked at her stomach, obvious now, undeniable, life growing where there had been none. A child who might be his. Is it mine? He asked again, gentler this time. Lila met his eyes. Does it really matter? Will you protect me either way? Yes. No hesitation. Then the answer doesn't change anything. It changes everything. Why? Because if it's yours, you have some claim, some right to dictate my choices. Because if it's mine, I've already missed 6 months. 6 months of appointments and ultrasounds and feeling them kick. 6 months of protecting you. 6 months of being a father. Lila's eyes filled with tears. You were never going to be a father, Adrian. You were going to be an owner, a protector, a controller, but not a partner, not an equal, and I couldn't bring a child into that. The words were knives, but they were also truth. Adrian sank down onto the couch beside her, not close enough to touch, but close enough to matter. You're right about all of it. I did control you. I did cage you. I thought protection and possession were the same thing, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Lila. She stared at him, shocked. Did you just apologize? Yes. Adrian Vale doesn't apologize. The man who lost you does. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Don't do this. Don't make me hope when I've worked so hard to stop. Then tell me what to do. Tell me how to keep you safe without controlling you. Tell me how to be part of this, he gestured to her stomach, without taking it over. Because I don't know, Lila. I don't know how to do this right, but I'm willing to learn. She was crying openly now, and Adrian's hands ached to reach for her, but he kept them at his sides, waiting. The baby is yours, she whispered finally. The world stopped. Say that again. The baby is yours, Adrian. I found out 2 weeks after the divorce was finalized, and I didn't tell you because I knew you'd use it as leverage, to pull me back, to keep me in your world. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't let another person I love be trapped in a cage. Another person I love. Present tense. Adrian's breath caught. You still don't. She held up a hand. I love you, but I also left you. Both things are true. And I don't know if love is enough when everything else is broken. Then let me fix it. You can't fix this, Adrian. This isn't a business deal or a territory dispute. This is about trust, and I don't know if we have any left. So we build it back, from the ground up. With Serena threatening us, with your entire world of violence and danger waiting to swallow our child, with 100 reasons why this can never work? Yes. His voice was absolute. With all of that. We build it anyway. Lila shook her head, but she was almost smiling through her tears. You're insane. Probably. This won't be like before. I won't be controlled. I know. I won't live in fear. I'll make sure you don't have to. And you can't just decide things for me, for us. We decide together. Okay. She blinked. Okay? Just like that? Just like that. Adrian finally let himself reach out, let himself touch her hand. Her fingers were cold. I'm not the same man you married, Lila. The last 6 months broke me in ways I didn't know I could break. And I realized something. Every victory, every deal, every piece of power I gained, none of it mattered without you. Adrian, I'm not asking you to take me back. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm just asking you to let me keep you safe. You and the baby, until Serena is dealt with. After that, I'll disappear if that's what you want. But right now, please, let me do this. Lila studied him for a long moment. If I say yes, what does that mean? It means you move somewhere secure, somewhere Serena can't reach. It means protection, 24/7, until this is over. Somewhere you choose. Somewhere we choose together. You promise? I promise. She squeezed his hand, and Adrian felt hope bloom in his chest for the first time in 6 months. Okay, she said softly. But Adrian, if you break this promise, if you slip back into controlling me, I won't. If you do, I'm gone, for good this time, and you'll never see your child. The threat should have made him angry. Instead, it made him determined. I understand. Outside, the rain had finally stopped. The safe house wasn't what Lila expected. She'd braced herself for something cold and institutional. Concrete walls, security cameras in every corner, the kind of place that felt more like a prison than protection. Instead, Adrian pulled up to a restored brownstone in a quiet neighborhood she didn't recognize. Trees lining the street, actual flower boxes in the windows. This is it? She asked, one hand on her stomach as the baby kicked. The little one had been active all morning, as if sensing the upheaval. Adrian turned off the engine. This is it. It looks like a home. That's the point. He got out and came around to her side, opening the door. The gesture was automatic, ingrained from their marriage, but he caught himself halfway through reaching for her hand. Sorry, habit. Lila looked at his outstretched hand, then at his face. He meant it, the apology, the awareness. That was new. The old Adrian would have simply taken her hand without thinking, without asking. She took his hand anyway. His fingers closed around hers carefully, like she was something precious that might break. Maybe she was. Maybe they both were. Marcus was waiting at the door, his usual stoic expression giving nothing away. All clear. Swept the place 3 times. No bugs, no cameras except the security system, which you control. He held out a tablet to Lila, not Adrian. All the codes, all the access points. Your fingerprint is the primary override. Lila took the tablet, surprised. Mine? Boss's orders. Marcus glanced at Adrian. He was very specific about who's in charge here. Adrian kept his expression neutral, but Lila caught the tension in his shoulders. This was costing him something. This giving up of control. She could see it in the way he held himself back, the way he didn't immediately take the tablet and explain everything himself. Thank you, she said to Marcus, then to Adrian. Really, thank you. He just nodded, jaw tight. Inside, the brownstone was warm and lived in. Hardwood floors, comfortable furniture, a kitchen that actually looked like someone cooked in it. Natural light poured through large windows that, Lila noticed, had reinforced glass and security shutters hidden in the frames, protection disguised as comfort. Very Adrian. The bedroom's upstairs, Marcus said. Medical supplies in the bathroom cabinet, prenatal vitamins, everything your doctor recommended. Fridge is stocked. There's a nursery being set up in the room adjacent to the master, if you want it. If not, we can convert it to something else. Lila walked slowly through the space, taking it all in. How long did this take to arrange? About 18 hours, Adrian said quietly, since you agreed to come. 18 hours? She turned to face him. Adrian, that's what I do. He shrugged. I'm good at making things happen fast when they matter. And she mattered. The unspoken words hung between them. Marcus cleared his throat. I'll be outside. Security detail changes every 8 hours. They'll stay out of sight unless you need them. Any questions, any concerns, you call me directly. He handed her a phone. This one's secure, untraceable. Only 3 numbers programmed. Me, Adrian, and 911. That's it? Just 3? Unless you want to add others. Marcus looked at Adrian again, as if checking. Adrian said nothing. Your call, Mrs. He caught himself. Miss Monroe. The correction was deliberate, respectful. Lila appreciated it more than she could say. After Marcus left, the silence in the brownstone felt enormous. Adrian stood in the middle of the living room, hands in his pockets, looking more uncertain than she'd ever seen him. The man who commanded boardrooms and controlled half the city looked completely lost in this comfortable house with the woman who used to be his wife. You can sit, Lila said, lowering herself onto the couch. Her back was aching again, a constant companion these days. You don't have to stand there like a stranger. He sat in the chair across from her, not beside her, maintaining distance. I should go, he said. Let you settle in. Adrian? Yes? We need to talk about Serena. His expression darkened. I'm handling it. See, that's exactly what I'm afraid of. Lila leaned forward as much as her belly allowed. What does handling it mean? Because if it means what I think it means I'm finding her, and when I do, I'm making sure she never comes near you again. How? Adrian was quiet. How, Adrian? Are you going to kill her? Have someone else kill her? Make her disappear? Would it bother you if I did? The question was genuine, not challenging. He really wanted to know. Lila took a breath. Yes, it would bother me, because that's the world I left, the world where problems are solved with violence and power instead of law and justice. The law won't stop her. You don't know that. I do know that. Adrian's voice was hard now. I had restraining orders against her before. Legal documents, court orders, the whole system. She violated every single one. The law gave her warnings, fines, mandated therapy, and she kept coming. So yes, Lila, I know exactly how effective the law is against someone like Serena. Lila's hand moved to her stomach where the baby was doing somersaults. Then what do you suggest? Let me do what I'm good at. Which is? Making threats disappear. The words should have scared her. Once upon a time, they would have. But now, pregnant and exhausted and genuinely terrified for her child's safety, Lila found herself considering it. That's what scared her most, how easy it would be to just let Adrian handle it his way. I can't ask you to do that, she said finally. You're not asking, I'm offering. Adrian, she threatened our child. His voice dropped to something dangerous. She threatened you. There's no version of this where I let that stand. Even if it means becoming the man I left. The question stopped him cold. Lila watched the conflict play across his face. The instinct to protect warring with the desire to be better, to be different, to be the man she needed instead of the man he'd always been. I don't know how to do this your way, he admitted. I don't know how to keep you safe without crossing lines you don't want crossed. Then we figure it out together. How? By talking, by including me in the decisions instead of making them for me, by trusting that I'm strong enough to handle the truth. Adrian looked at her for a long moment. You're the strongest person I know. That was never the question. Then what is the question? Whether I'm strong enough to trust you, to let you in instead of shutting you out, to stop believing that control equals protection. He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. I spent my entire life learning that the only person you can trust is yourself, that caring about people makes you weak, that love is a liability. And then you met me. And then I met you, he agreed. And every rule I'd ever learned stopped making sense, because you made me want things I'd convinced myself I didn't need. Partnership, trust, a future that wasn't just about power. Lila felt tears prick her eyes. So what happened? Why did we fall apart? Because wanting something and knowing how to keep it are different things. Because I loved you, but I didn't know how to show it without suffocating you. Because every time I tried to protect you, I ended up caging you instead. You're doing it again, Lila said softly. Right now. You're being honest with me instead of shutting me out. That's how you show love. Not by making all my decisions, not by controlling my world, but by letting me in, by trusting me enough to be vulnerable. Adrian's laugh was bitter. Vulnerability gets you killed in my world. I'm not your world. I'm one person. And I'm asking you to be vulnerable with me. I don't know how. Then learn. Because if we're going to do this, if we're going to raise this child together, we can't go back to the way things were. I know. Do you? Because, Adrian, I need you to understand something. Lila's voice was steady despite her tears. I didn't leave because I stopped loving you. I left because loving you was destroying me. Every decision you made for my own good. Every freedom you took away for my safety. Every time you chose control over trust, you proved that you didn't see me as an equal. You saw me as something to protect, to possess, to keep. That's not... Adrian stopped, started again. Maybe you're right. Maybe that is how I saw it. But Lila, I swear to you, I'm trying to be different. I can see that. But trying isn't enough. I need to know you'll actually do it when it's hard. When every instinct is screaming at you to take over. When it would be easier to just make the call without me. Like with Serena. Exactly like with Serena. Lila held his gaze. So I'm going to ask you directly. What's your plan? Adrian was silent for a long moment. Then, I have people looking for her. When they find her, I'll bring her in. Not hurt her. Just contain her somewhere she can't hurt you. Where? I don't know yet. You're lying. Adrian's jaw clenched. How do you know? Because I know you. You always have a plan. You always have 3 backup plans. You don't do anything without knowing exactly how it's going to end. He looked away. Fine. There's a private facility, very discreet, very secure. People go there when they need to disappear for a while. A prison. A hospital, technically. Adrian, she's mentally ill, Lila. Clinical diagnosis. She needs help, not freedom to terrorize pregnant women. His voice rose. What do you want me to do? Take her to lunch and ask nicely if she'll stop threatening our family. I want you to exhaust legal options first. The legal options don't work. Then we make new ones. Lila's voice was firm. We document everything. Every threat, every message, every time she shows up. We build a case so airtight that the system has no choice but to act. We use your resources and your connections to make sure she's actually held accountable instead of just shuffled through therapy and released. That could take months. So we take months. And if she hurts you while we're waiting for the system to work, then you'll have plenty of evidence to make sure she never sees freedom again. Lila reached across the space between them, touched his hand. I'm not saying don't protect me. I'm saying protect me in a way that doesn't make us just like her. Don't become a monster to fight a monster. Adrian turned his hand over, lacing his fingers through hers. You're asking a lot. I know. I'm not sure I can do it. Then try. That's all I'm asking. Just try. He brought her hand to his lips, pressed a kiss to her knuckles. The gesture was achingly familiar. I'll try. But Lila, if she comes near you, if she so much as breathes in your direction, all bets are off. Fair enough. They sat like that for a while, hands clasped, the afternoon light shifting through the windows. The baby kicked again, hard enough that Lila gasped. Adrian's eyes went wide. Was that? Yeah. Little one's active today. Can I... He stopped, uncertain. Can I feel? Lila's breath caught. In all the chaos, she'd almost forgotten. He'd missed this. All of it. The first flutter, the first real kick, the strange reality of a life growing inside her. She guided his hand to her stomach, pressing it where the baby was moving. Adrian went completely still, waiting. Then the baby kicked again, directly into his palm. The expression on Adrian's face was something Lila had never seen before. Wonder. Pure, unguarded wonder. That's our baby, he whispered. That's our baby. How long have you been feeling this? About 6 weeks. Started as little flutters. Now it's full-on gymnastics. Adrian kept his hand on her stomach, mesmerized. Does it hurt? Sometimes. Mostly it's just weird, like having an alien living inside you. Do you know if it's a boy or girl? Lila shook her head. I wanted to wait, find out when they're born. They. Adrian smiled slightly. Not it. They're a person, just a very small one who can't survive outside me yet. Another kick. Adrian laughed, actually laughed, and Lila felt something in her chest crack open. This was what she'd wanted, not the controlling protector, not the crime boss who solved problems with power. Just Adrian. Just the man behind all the armor, capable of joy and wonder and vulnerability. I'm sorry I missed this, he said quietly. I'm sorry I wasn't there. You're here now. Only because Serena forced you to accept my help. Maybe. Or maybe this is just where we needed to end up. Sometimes the hard way is the only way. Adrian looked up from her stomach, met her eyes. I want to be here, Lila. Not just until Serena's handled. Not just until the baby's born. I want to be here for all of it. As what? However you'll have me. Co-parent, friend, security detail. He paused. Husband, again, if you'd ever consider it. Lila's heart stuttered. Adrian, I'm not asking now. I'm just saying, if you ever thought about it, if you ever wanted to try again, I'd do it differently. I'd do it right. Right how? Therapy. Real therapy. Not just anger management classes my lawyers made me take. Learning how to be a partner instead of a boss. Actually changing, not just promising to change. You'd go to therapy? I'd do worse things than therapy if it meant having a chance with you again. Lila believed him. That was the terrifying part. Let's get through this first, she said. Let's handle Serena, get the baby here safely, and figure out what co-parenting looks like. Then we can talk about the rest. Adrian nodded, but she could see the hope in his eyes. Dangerous, fragile hope. Her phone buzzed. The secure one Marcus had given her. She checked it, expecting Marcus or maybe a security update. Instead, it was a message from an unknown number. Cozy little safe house. I especially love the nursery. Yellow is such a calming color. Lila's blood turned to ice. Adrian saw her face change. What is it? She handed him the phone, unable to speak. Adrian read the message, then stood so fast the chair fell backward. Marcus! The door opened immediately. Marcus must have been right outside. Boss? She knows where we are. Adrian's voice was deadly calm. Get Lila out of here. Now. What? No. Lila struggled to stand. Adrian, you can't just... This location is compromised, which means someone on my team talked, or Serena's better than I thought. Either way, you're not staying. Then where am I going? I don't know yet. Adrian was already on his phone barking orders. Marcus, take her to the secondary location. Don't tell me where it is. Don't tell anyone. Just get her somewhere safe and keep her there until I call. Adrian, stop! Lila's voice cracked. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You can't just make decisions without me. He turned to her, and his eyes were haunted. She knows about the nursery, Lila. She knows about the yellow paint, which means she's been inside this house. While we were sitting here, while I had my hand on our baby, she was close enough to see, close enough to hurt you. The reality hit Lila like a physical blow. I'm going to find her, Adrian continued, his voice dropping to something cold and final. And when I do, I'm going to end this, my way. No lawyers, no documentation, no legal options, because she just proved she can get to you anywhere, which means the only way to keep you safe is to remove her completely. Adrian, I love you. The words stopped her cold. I love you, and I love our child, and I will burn this entire city to the ground before I let her touch either of you. So yes, I'm making this decision without you. Sue me, hate me, leave me again when this is over. But right now, you're getting in that car with Marcus, and you're going somewhere even I don't know about. And you're staying there until I tell you it's safe. Lila stared at him, torn between fury and fear, and something that felt dangerously like relief. Because part of her, the exhausted, terrified, pregnant part, wanted exactly this. Wanted someone else to make the hard calls. Wanted to trust that Adrian would handle it while she just focused on keeping their baby safe. That's what scared her most. If you do this, she said quietly, if you go back to being that man, I know, you'll leave, for good this time. Adrian's smile was sad. But at least you'll be alive to leave. Marcus touched her elbow gently. Miss Monroe, we should go. Lila looked at Adrian one more time, memorizing him, just in case. Don't do anything you can't come back from, she whispered. No promises. Marcus guided her toward the door. As they stepped outside into the cool evening air, Lila heard Adrian already on the phone. I don't care what it takes. Find her, tonight. The car door closed, cutting off the rest. Marcus drove in silence for 20 minutes, taking turns that seemed random, doubling back, checking mirrors constantly. Professional evasion. Where are we going? Lila finally asked. Can't tell you. Marcus, boss's orders. And honestly, Miss Monroe, this time I agree with him. If Serena got to the safe house that fast, she's got resources we didn't account for. Better if even we don't know where you are until this is over. We? Lila noticed the phrasing. You're not staying with me? I'm the most visible member of Adrian's team. If I disappear, people will notice. People will ask questions. Marcus met her eyes in the rearview mirror. But don't worry, you'll have protection. The best. Who? Marcus smiled slightly. Someone Adrian trusts more than anyone, including himself. They pulled up to what looked like a small medical clinic in a neighborhood Lila didn't recognize. Quiet, residential, unremarkable. A woman stepped out of the shadows, late 50s, short silver hair, eyes that missed nothing. Lila Monroe, she said, not a question. I'm Dr. Sarah Chen. I'll be looking after you. You're a doctor? Obstetrician, actually. Also happened to be very good at making people disappear when necessary. Dr. Chen opened the car door, offered her hand. Come on, let's get you somewhere comfortable. Lila looked at Marcus. You trust her? With my life. More importantly, Adrian trusts her with yours. That meant something. Adrian didn't trust easily. Lila took Dr. Chen's hand and let herself be led inside. The clinic was small but well equipped. Medical supplies, an exam table, a separate room with a bed and bathroom. Safe, sterile, temporary. How long do I have to stay here? Lila asked. Dr. Chen's expression was kind but firm. Until Adrian calls and says it's safe. Could be hours, could be days. And if it's not safe, if he can't… Lila couldn't finish. Then we wait longer. But between you and me, I've known Adrian Vale for 15 years. When he sets his mind to protecting someone, nothing stops him. Dr. Chen gestured to the bed. Now, let's check you and the baby. Make sure all this stress hasn't caused any problems. The examination was thorough but gentle. Dr. Chen talked through everything she was doing, never assuming, always asking permission. Baby's heartbeat is strong, she said finally. 145, nice and steady. You're measuring right on track for 26 weeks. 26 weeks, Lila repeated. God, I'm so tired. Growing a human is exhausting work, and you've been doing it alone under stress while being stalked. You're allowed to be tired. Lila felt tears well up, again. She was so sick of crying. Hey, Dr. Chen sat beside her, not touching, but close. You're going to be okay, both of you. How do you know? Because Adrian won't allow anything else, and because you're stronger than you think. Dr. Chen smiled. I delivered you, actually. Did you know that? Lila blinked. What? 32 years ago. Your mother came to my clinic. I was just starting out then. She was alone, scared, determined, a lot like you are now. Dr. Chen's eyes were distant with memory. She had complications. Early labor, bleeding, the works. But she fought like hell to bring you into this world safe. And she did. I never knew that. She probably didn't remember me. It was a long time ago, and a very long night, but I remembered her. So when Adrian called and asked me to look after you, I said yes immediately. Because I've been watching over you since before you were born, Lila Monroe. I'm not about to stop now. The tears came harder now. Lila had lost her parents so young. A car accident when she was 19, sudden and devastating. She'd spent the last 13 years without them, without family, building her life alone. And now this stranger was telling her she'd been there at the very beginning. Thank you, Lila whispered. Don't thank me yet. Wait until you see my bedside manner when you're actually in labor. Dr. Chen stood. Now try to rest. I'll be right outside. You need anything, food, water, someone to talk to, you just call. After she left, Lila lay in the small bed and stared at the ceiling. Somewhere in the city, Adrian was hunting. Using all his resources, all his connections, all his considerable power to find one dangerous woman. And Lila was here, safe, protected, waiting. Just like she'd always been in their marriage, waiting while Adrian handled things, while Adrian made decisions, while Adrian controlled their world. Except this time felt different. This time, he'd been honest about what he was doing and why. He'd asked her opinion first, even if he'd ultimately overridden it. He'd admitted his limitations instead of pretending he had everything under control. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't equal partnership, but it was progress. Her phone buzzed. The secure one. "Are you settled?" Adrian's text. Brief? Careful. "Yes. Dr. Chen says the baby's fine." "Good. I'll call when I have news." Lila stared at the message, then typed, "Adrian, be careful, please." The response took longer this time. Always. "Get some rest. I love you." She read those last 3 words 5 times before responding. "I love you too." It was the truth. The complicated, messy, painful truth. She loved him. She'd never stopped. But love alone hadn't been enough to save them before. The question was whether it would be enough now. Lila woke to the sound of rain and voices arguing in the hallway. She'd fallen asleep without meaning to, exhaustion finally claiming her despite the fear thrumming through her veins. Now she was disoriented, the unfamiliar room swimming into focus in the gray pre-dawn light. The voices grew louder. One was Dr. Chen. The other was male, sharp with urgency. "Can't just barge in here. She needs rest. She needs to know what's happening. Now step aside, Sarah." Marcus. Lila sat up, her back protesting, the baby doing slow rolls that made her breath catch. "It's okay," she called out. Let him in." The door opened. Marcus looked like he'd been awake for days. Rumpled clothes, dark circles under his eyes, a tension in his shoulders that spoke of violence recently committed or narrowly avoided. "What happened?" Lila asked, already dreading the answer. Marcus closed the door behind him, leaving Dr. Chen in the hallway. "We found her." Lila's heart stopped. "Serena?" "About 3 hours ago. She was at Adrian's penthouse, just sitting in his living room like she owned the place, drinking his whiskey." "How did she get in?" "Elevator override. Someone gave her the codes." Marcus's expression was grim. "We're still figuring out who." "Is she—" Lila couldn't finish the question. "Is she dead? Did Adrian kill her?" "She's alive. In custody. Adrian's holding her at a private location until we figure out next steps." Relief and dread warred in Lila's chest. "What kind of private location?" "The kind with reinforced doors and no windows. The kind people don't leave until Adrian says they can." Marcus sat in the chair by the bed, moving like every muscle hurt. "He wanted me to tell you in person. Wanted you to know she can't hurt you anymore." "For how long? Until Adrian decides what to do with her?" Marcus was quiet. "That's not a solution," Lila said. "That's just postponing the problem." "Maybe, but it buys us time to figure out the right solution." Marcus leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "Lila, you need to understand something. When we found Serena at the penthouse, she had detailed floor plans of this clinic, photos of Dr. Chen, a schedule of when the security detail changes. She knew everything." The room tilted. "How?" "She's been planning this for months, maybe longer. She's got money, connections, resources we didn't anticipate. This isn't just some obsessed ex-girlfriend. This is someone who's been building toward something specific." "Toward what?" "We're not sure yet, but Adrian's working on getting answers." The way Marcus said it made Lila's stomach turn. "What does that mean? What's he doing to her?" "Nothing permanent, just asking questions in ways that encourage honest answers." "Marcus, he's not torturing her if that's what you're worried about. He's just making it very clear that lying would be a bad idea." Lila pressed her hands to her face. This was exactly what she'd been afraid of. Adrian slipping back into the darkness, making decisions with violence and fear instead of law and justice. But another part of her whispered she had floor plans of the clinic. She knew where you were. She was coming for you and the baby. That part was harder to argue with. "I want to see her," Lila said. Marcus's head snapped up. "Absolutely not. I want to talk to her, face to face." "Lila, that's the only way I'm going to understand why she's doing this. The only way I'm going to know if there's a solution that doesn't involve Adrian keeping someone prisoner indefinitely. Lila stood, one hand on her stomach. Please, Marcus. I need to do this. Adrian will lose his mind. Then don't tell him until after. Marcus studied her for a long moment. You know what you're asking? Serena's not stable. She's dangerous. And seeing your pregnancy might make her worse. Or it might make her see reason. Either way, I need to try. Lila met his eyes. Because if I just let Adrian handle this his way, then I'm complicit in whatever happens next. And I can't live with that. Marcus sighed. He's going to kill me. He'll get over it. You don't know that. Lila almost smiled. Actually, I do. Because the man I fell in love with, the real Adrian, under all the armor, he understands doing the hard thing because it's right. He might not like it. He might rage about it. But deep down, he'll respect it. You have a lot more faith in his better nature than I do. That's because you work for him. I married him. I know the parts he doesn't show the world. Marcus pulled out his phone, typed something. Okay, but we do this my way. Full security. You stay behind reinforced glass. First sign of trouble, we're done. Agreed. And Lila, if this goes bad, if she says something that upsets you, if your blood pressure spikes, if the baby shows any distress, Dr. Chen's pulling you out immediately. Non-negotiable. Fine. Marcus stood. Get dressed. We leave in 10 minutes. After he left, Dr. Chen came in, her expression unreadable. You sure about this? No, but I'm doing it anyway. Bravery or foolishness? With me, it's usually both. Lila accepted the clean clothes Dr. Chen handed her. Soft pants with an elastic waist, a loose sweater. Comfortable. Nothing that would restrict movement if things went wrong. Your blood pressure's been elevated, Dr. Chen said quietly. Not dangerously so, but elevated. Stress like this isn't good for you or the baby. I know, but if I don't do this, I'll spend the rest of my life wondering if there was another way. A better way. Lila pulled on the sweater. I have to at least try. Doctor. Chen nodded slowly. I delivered you. Did I mention that? You did. Your mother was stubborn too. Insisted on natural childbirth even when we recommended intervention. Pushed for 3 hours because she refused to give up. Dr. Chen's smile was soft. You come by it honestly. Did she, Lila hesitated. Did she ever regret it, being stubborn? Not once. She held you and said it was worth every second of pain. Dr. Chen touched Lila's shoulder. But Lila, there's stubborn and there's reckless. Make sure you know which one you're being. The drive took 40 minutes. Marcus drove in silence, taking routes that seemed designed to confuse anyone following. Twice they switched cars. Unmarked sedans in underground garages, the handoffs so smooth they'd clearly been planned in advance. They ended up at what looked like an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the industrial district, the kind of place where bad things happen in crime movies. Lila's hands tightened on her stomach as Marcus led her inside. The interior was nothing like the exterior suggested. Clean, climate-controlled, divided into offices and holding areas that looked more like interrogation rooms than prison cells. Adrian's world, hidden from view. She's in room 3, Marcus said, guiding Lila down a hallway lit by fluorescent lights. Adrian's in the observation room. He doesn't know you're here yet. When are you planning to tell him? After you're safely behind glass and it's too late for him to stop it. Marcus stopped at a door marked with a simple number 3. Last chance to back out. Lila took a breath. Open it. The room beyond was split by thick reinforced glass. On one side, a simple metal chair and table. On the other, a woman who looked nothing like the monster Lila had built in her mind. Serena Hale was beautiful. Delicate features, perfectly styled blonde hair, expensive clothes that somehow still looked elegant despite hours in custody. She sat with perfect posture, hands folded on the table, looking more like she was waiting for tea than being held prisoner. When she saw Lila, she smiled. There you are, Serena said, her voice filtered through speakers. I was wondering when you'd come. Lila sat in the chair Marcus had positioned for her, keeping her expression neutral even though her heart was racing. You were expecting me? Of course. You're not the type to let someone else handle your problems. That's what makes you different from the others. Others? The women Adrian's been with. Before you, after you. They were all the same. Pretty, docile, content to be protected and pampered and put on shelves like expensive dolls. Serena's smile widened. But you left him. You actually walked away. That takes strength most people don't have. I'm not here to discuss my marriage. Aren't you? Because that's what this is all about. You, him, the fact that he chose you and not me. Adrian never chose you. He barely knew you. He knew me well enough to be afraid of me, to get lawyers involved, to put legal barriers between us. Serena leaned forward. Do you know what that means? It means I mattered enough to be a threat. I wasn't just another woman he could dismiss. I was significant. Lila felt sick. You're twisting reality to fit your delusions. Am I? Or am I just seeing clearly what everyone else refuses to acknowledge? Serena's eyes dropped to Lila's stomach. You're pregnant. His, I assume. That's none of your business. It is when you're the reason he'll never look at anyone else. Do you understand what you've done? You've ruined him for every other woman, made him believe in love and partnership and all those pretty lies people tell themselves. Serena's voice dropped. And then you left. You broke him. And a broken Adrian is so much more interesting than a whole one. You're insane. Probably, but that doesn't make me wrong. Serena tilted her head. Tell me, Lila, when you walked away, did you feel powerful? Did you feel like you'd finally won against the man who controlled everything? I felt free. Liar, you felt guilty. You felt like you'd abandoned someone who needed you, because that's who you are. A fixer, a nurturer, someone who sees broken things and wants to make them whole. Serena's smile was sharp. That's why you came back. Not because I threatened you, not because you're pregnant and scared, but because you can't help yourself. You want to save him. Lila's hands clenched. I came here to understand why you're doing this, why you're threatening me and my child. Because you need to understand what you have, what you threw away, what some of us would kill for. Serena's voice rose. He loved you, completely, obsessively, the way most people never get loved in their entire lives. And you treated it like it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. Not when it came with control and possession and everything. Serena stood, sudden and violent. He gave you everything. Money, protection, devotion. He would have burned the world for you. And you wanted more. You wanted him to be soft, to be vulnerable, to be weak. I wanted him to be human. He's not human. He's Adrian Vale. He's power and danger and ruthlessness wrapped in expensive suits. That's what makes him extraordinary. And you tried to domesticate him, to turn him into some suburban husband who talks about his feelings and asks permission. Serena's laugh was sharp. You don't deserve him. Then why are you punishing me instead of trying to win him for yourself? The question hung in the air. Serena went very still. Because I can't have him. I know that. I've always known that. But if I can't have him, then neither can you. If I can't be the one he loves, then I can at least be the reason you suffer, the reason he suffers, the reason both of you understand what it's like to lose something precious. You want to hurt my baby because you can't have Adrian's love? Do you hear how insane that sounds? I hear how honest it sounds, how pure. Everyone else lies about their motivations. They dress up revenge and justification, obsession and romance. But I'm telling you the truth. I want to destroy you because destroying you destroys him, and I find that satisfying. Serena sat back down, calm again. At least I'm honest about my cruelty. Lila felt the baby kick, hard and insistent, as if reminding her why she was here. You were right about one thing. I did come back because of Adrian, but not to save him, to save us both from becoming what you are, someone so consumed by obsession that you've lost sight of everything else. How noble. It's not noble. It's survival. Because I could have let Adrian handle you his way. I could have let him make you disappear, or worse. But that would have made him the monster you think he is. And I won't be the reason he loses the last pieces of his humanity. So what's your plan? Serena's voice was mocking. Talk me into therapy? Convince me to see the error of my ways? Make me promise to leave you alone? No, my plan is to give you a choice. Lila kept her voice steady. You clearly have resources, money, connections, intelligence. You could have used all of that to build a life anywhere in the world, but instead you've spent months, maybe years, planning to hurt two people you don't even know. That's not strength. That's emptiness. And I'm betting there's a reason for it. Serena's expression flickered. Just for a moment, something raw showed through. What happened to you? Lila asked quietly. Before Adrian. Before this obsession. What made you into someone who finds satisfaction in other people's pain? Don't! Serena's voice was sharp. Don't try to psychoanalyze me like I'm some tragic case study. Don't try to make me sympathetic. I'm not trying to make you sympathetic. I'm trying to understand if there's any part of you that wants to stop, that wants something better than this. Serena was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was different, softer, younger. I was in love once. Real love. Not this twisted thing. He was gentle, kind. Everything I thought I wanted. What happened? He died. Car accident. Sudden. Meaningless. Serena's hands trembled slightly on the table. And I realized that love makes you weak. It gives other people the power to destroy you just by ceasing to exist. So I decided never to be weak again. But you are weak. You're so focused on not feeling pain that you've made pain your entire purpose. Better than being a victim. You're victimizing yourself. Every day you spend on this vendetta is a day you're not actually living. Serena's laugh was bitter. And you think you're living, hiding in a clinic, terrified, waiting for your ex-husband to solve your problems? I'm surviving for my child. That's more purpose than revenge will ever give you. Your child. Serena's eyes went dark. Do you know what Adrian will do to protect that baby? The lines he'll cross? The people he'll hurt? You think you've seen his darkness, but Lila, you haven't seen anything yet. Wait until someone threatens his child. Wait until he has to choose between your morality and their safety. He'll choose the baby every time, and he'll hate himself for it, and you'll hate him for it, and it will destroy you both. The words hit harder than they should have because there was truth in them. Maybe, Lila said, or maybe we'll find a way through it together. Maybe we'll make mistakes and forgive each other and build something stronger than it was before. But either way, it won't be because you broke us. It'll be because we chose how to handle the breaking. Serena stared at her for a long moment. You really believe that? That love can survive reality? I believe it can survive anything except giving up. And I'm not giving up. Not on Adrian, not on my child, not on the possibility that even someone as damaged as you might want something better. I don't want better. I want justice. Justice for what? A man who didn't love you back? That's not injustice. That's just life. Well, life isn't fair. No, it's not. But making it worse doesn't make it fair. It just makes it worse. Serena stood abruptly. This conversation is over. Fine, but I'm going to make you an offer anyway. Lila leaned forward as much as her belly allowed. I won't press charges. I'll convince Adrian not to keep you here. I'll even help you get the psychiatric help you clearly need. But in exchange, you leave. The city, the country, wherever you want to go. And you never contact us again. You let us go, and we let you go. Why would you do that? Because keeping you prisoner doesn't solve anything. It just makes Adrian into the kind of man I can't be with. And I want to be with him. I want our child to have a father who doesn't solve every problem with force. So I'm choosing mercy. Not for you. For us. Serena's expression was unreadable. And if I refuse, then Adrian handles it his way. And trust me, you don't want that. Maybe I do. Maybe I want him to become the monster, to prove I was right about him all along. Then you're more damaged than I thought. Lila stood slowly. Think about my offer. You have 24 hours. She turned to leave. Lila? She stopped, looked back. Serena's eyes were wet. Do you really believe people can change? Or are you just telling yourself that so you can go back to him without feeling like a hypocrite? I believe people can change if they want to badly enough. The question is whether you want to. She walked out before Serena could respond. Marcus was waiting in the hallway, along with Dr. Chen, who immediately started checking her pulse and asking questions about stress levels. I'm fine, Lila said, even though her hands were shaking. Where's Adrian? Observation room. He knows you're here now. Marcus's expression was grim, and he's not happy. He'll get over it. That's what you keep saying. The observation room was small and dark, monitors showing different angles of the interrogation room. Adrian stood in front of them, his back rigid, hands clenched at his sides. He didn't turn when she entered. "You had no right," he said quietly. "I had every right. It's my life she's threatening. It's our child she's threatening, our family. And you just offered to let her walk away." Adrian finally turned and his eyes were burning. "Do you understand what you've done? You've given her power. You've shown her that threats work, that she can terrorize you and get rewarded with freedom. I showed her there's a way out that doesn't involve violence or imprisonment. I gave her a choice. She doesn't deserve a choice." "Maybe not, but we do." Lila moved closer, forcing him to look at her. "We get to choose what kind of people we are, what kind of parents we are. And I won't let her turn us into monsters, Adrian. I won't let her win that way. So you're just going to trust that she'll take your deal? That she'll magically see reason and disappear?" "No, I'm going to hope she's smart enough to recognize a good offer when she hears one. And if she's not, then we do it your way. But at least I'll know I tried the right thing first." Adrian stared at her, conflict warring across his face. "You're impossible." "I'm stubborn. There's a difference. You're pregnant and stressed, and you just confronted a dangerous stalker against all advice and medical recommendation." "Yes, I did." Lila took his hand, placed it on her stomach. "For this, for our baby, so they can grow up knowing their parents tried to do the right thing even when it was hard." Adrian's expression cracked. "I can't lose you, either of you. I can't." "Then trust me. Trust that I know what I'm doing." "I trust you. It's the rest of the world I don't trust." "The rest of the world isn't in that room. Serena is. And she's not a monster. She's a damaged person making terrible choices, but she's still a person, and people can change." "You really believe that?" "I have to, because if people can't change, then we're doomed. You and me. We'll just keep repeating the same patterns forever." Adrian pulled her close, careful of her belly, his face buried in her hair. "I'm trying. I'm really trying to be different. I know, I can see it. But Lila, if she doesn't take your deal, if she comes anywhere near you again, then you do what you have to do. And I won't judge you for it. But let's give her the chance to walk away first." They stood like that for a long moment, holding each other in the dark observation room while Serena sat alone on the monitors behind them. Marcus cleared his throat from the doorway. "Boss, we've got a problem." Adrian didn't let go of Lila. "What kind of problem?" "The kind where someone just tried to breach the clinic. They didn't get far. Security handled it, but they were professional, military training, and they were asking for Lila by name." Adrian's entire body went rigid. "Who sent them?" "We're working on it. But boss, this wasn't Serena. She's been in custody for hours. Someone else knows where Lila is. Someone with serious resources." Lila felt her blood turn to ice. "I don't understand. Who else would—" "I don't know." Adrian's voice was deadly calm. "But we're going to find out. Marcus, move Lila to the secondary location, the one even you don't know about." "There's no such—" Marcus stopped. "You have a location even I don't know about?" "I have contingencies for my contingencies. Lila's going there, now." "Adrian," Lila started. "No arguments. Not this time." Adrian cupped her face, his eyes fierce. "I will figure out who's behind this. I will end it. But I need you somewhere I know you're absolutely safe. Please, Lila. Please trust me on this." She saw the fear in his eyes, real, bone-deep fear, and she realized this was different from Serena. This was calculated, professional, dangerous in ways that went beyond obsession. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay, I'll go." Relief flooded his face. He kissed her forehead, then her lips, gentle and desperate at the same time. "I love you," he said, "and I'm going to fix this." "I love you too. But Adrian, don't become someone I can't recognize to keep me safe. Promise me." He hesitated, just for a moment, then he lied. "I promise." She knew it was a lie. She could see it in his eyes, but she also knew that sometimes love meant letting someone make the hard choices, even when you disagreed with them. Marcus led her out through a back exit, into a car that was already running, into a night that felt darker than it should. As they drove away, Lila looked back at the warehouse one last time. She'd come here to find answers, to understand Serena, to prove that mercy was possible. Instead, she'd discovered a new threat, a new danger, a new reason to be afraid. And Adrian, alone in that warehouse, making decisions she wouldn't know about until it was too late. The baby kicked again, insistent and strong. "It's okay," she whispered, one hand on her stomach. "Your father's going to keep us safe. He always does." Even if it costs him everything. Even if it costs them each other. The safe house Marcus brought her to wasn't a house at all. It was a hospital room, private wing, top floor of a medical center Lila had never heard of, tucked away in a part of the city where money bought silence and discretion came standard. "Adrian owns this place?" Lila asked as Marcus led her down a hallway that smelled of antiseptic and lavender. Technically, it's owned by a corporation that's owned by 3 shell companies that eventually trace back to him. But yes, Marcus stopped at a door marked only with the number 7. This is where his people come when they need medical attention and can't risk questions. His people? You mean criminals? I mean employees who sometimes get hurt doing dangerous work. Marcus's voice was carefully neutral. But if it makes you feel better, the doctors here are legitimate, licensed, the best in their fields. They just happen to be very well compensated for their discretion. Inside, the room was surprisingly warm. Large windows overlooking the city, a bed that looked more comfortable than medical, soft lighting that didn't feel institutional. Dr. Chen was already there, setting up monitors and checking equipment. "Welcome to your new temporary home," she said without looking up. "More comfortable than the clinic, hopefully." "How long am I staying here?" "Until Adrian says otherwise." Dr. Chen finally met her eyes. "Or until you go into labor, whichever comes first." Lila's hand went to her stomach. "I'm only 26 weeks. Labor shouldn't... Stress can trigger premature labor. Your blood pressure's been climbing. You're exhausted. And you just had an extremely stressful encounter with a woman who wants you dead." Dr. Chen's voice was kind but firm. "We're monitoring you closely. If the baby shows any signs of distress, we're prepared to intervene." The reality hit Lila like a wave. She could lose the baby. All of this, the threats, the fear, the constant running, it could cost her the one thing she'd been fighting to protect. "I need to sit down." Marcus helped her to the bed while Dr. Chen attached monitors. Blood pressure cuff, fetal heart monitor. The familiar sound of the baby's heartbeat filled the room, fast and strong and utterly trusting that Lila would keep them safe. She wasn't sure she could. "Marcus," she said quietly, "who tried to breach the clinic?" "We don't know yet." "They're not talking." He paused. "Actually, they're not capable of talking. One's in ICU. The other 2 are dead." Lila's breath caught. "Dead?" "They came armed. Our security team responded accordingly." Marcus's expression was stone. "This is what I've been trying to tell you, Lila. This isn't just Serena being obsessed. Someone with serious resources wants to get to you, and they're willing to kill to do it. But why? I'm nobody. I'm just a teacher who used to be married to..." She stopped. "It's because of Adrian." "Everything's because of Adrian. That's what happens when you're connected to someone like him. His enemies become your enemies. His wars become your wars." "Then I need to talk to him. I need to know what's happening." "He's not answering his phone, even for me." Marcus pulled out his own phone, showed her the screen. 12 missed calls, 20 texts, all unanswered. "He's gone dark, which means he's doing something he doesn't want us to know about." Fear and fury warred in Lila's chest. He promised he wouldn't. He promised he'd keep you safe, and he's doing that. Everything else is negotiable." "That's not what I meant, and you know it." Marcus sat in the chair beside her bed. "Layla, I'm going to be honest with you. More honest than Adrian would want me to be. When he goes dark like this, when he cuts off communication and starts making moves without consulting anyone, it's because he's about to do something extreme, something he knows the people who care about him would try to stop." "Like what?" "Like dismantling an entire organization, like going to war with someone powerful, like burning bridges he won't be able to rebuild." Marcus leaned forward. "The man I know, the one I've worked for 15 years, he doesn't do halfway. He doesn't do proportional response. He does absolute victory or nothing. You're saying he's going to get himself killed. I'm saying he's going to prioritize your safety over everything else, including his own life, including his empire, including the man you fell in love with. Marcus's voice dropped. And when it's over, when you're safe and the baby's safe, you might not recognize what's left of him. Lila closed her eyes. The baby kicked against her ribs, oblivious to the chaos their existence had created. "What do I do?" she whispered. "You wait. You rest. You take care of yourself and that baby, and you trust that Adrian knows what he's doing." "And if I can't trust that?" Marcus stood. "Then you do what you did before. You walk away." "But Lila, if you do that this time, if you leave him after he's sacrificed everything to keep you safe, it'll destroy him. Completely. He won't survive it." "That's not fair. I can't be responsible for... You're not responsible for anything except your own choices. But you should know what those choices cost." Marcus moved toward the door. "I'll be outside. Dr. Chen will stay with you. If you need anything..." "Marcus, wait!" Lila struggled to sit up straighter. "The people who attacked the clinic, before they died, did they say anything? Anything at all?" Marcus was quiet for a moment. "One of them said a name, right before he lost consciousness." "What name?" "Millbrook." The word sent ice through Lila's veins. "The psychiatric facility. The one I call every Tuesday." Marcus's expression sharpened. "You want to tell me why you're making weekly calls to a psychiatric hospital?" "It's complicated." "Uncomplicated. Because if there's a connection between that place and whoever's trying to kill you, Adrian needs to know. Now." Lila's hands twisted in the blanket. She'd kept this secret for so long, even from Adrian during their marriage, especially from Adrian. "I have a sister," she said finally. Marcus blinked. "You told Adrian you had no family." "I told him my parents were dead. That's true. I never said I was alone." Lila took a shaky breath. "Her name is Emma. She's been at Millbrook for 8 years. Paranoid schizophrenia. Early onset. She was brilliant before, full scholarship to medical school, perfect future ahead of her. Then the delusions started." "Why didn't you tell Adrian?" "Because Emma was the one part of my life that was mine, the one thing he couldn't control or fix or throw money at. Because mental illness isn't something you can intimidate into submission, and I needed to know I could handle something important without him taking over. And now someone's using her to get to you." "I don't know that. The name could be a coincidence." "In our world, there are no coincidences." Marcus was already on his phone. "I'm sending security to Millbrook. If someone's threatening your sister..." "No." Lila's voice was sharp. "No armed guards at a psychiatric hospital. Do you know how that would traumatize the patients? How it would terrify Emma?" "Better terrified than dead. Marcus, please, let me call. Let me talk to her doctors first. If something's wrong, they'll tell me." Marcus hesitated, then handed her his phone. "Use this one. More secure than yours." Lila dialed the number she knew by heart. It rang 4 times before someone answered. "Millbrook facility, how may I direct your call?" "Dr. Patterson, please. Tell him it's Lila Monroe calling about Emma." One moment. The hold music was classical, peaceful, designed to calm. It made Lila want to scream. "Lila?" Dr. Patterson's voice was warm and familiar. He'd been Emma's primary doctor for 5 years. "This isn't Tuesday. Is everything all right? I need to know if Emma's had any visitors. Anyone unusual asking about her or trying to get information." Dr. Patterson was quiet for a moment. "Why? Has something happened?" "Just please answer the question." "We had someone call last week, claimed to be from Emma's insurance company, asking about her treatment plan and prognosis. We didn't give them any information, of course. Patient confidentiality." "Did they leave a name?" "Jennifer Hall. But when we tried to call back the number she provided, it was disconnected." "Jennifer Hall. Serena Hale. Close enough to be a deliberate echo." "Dr. Patterson, I need you to increase security around Emma. Nobody gets access to her except me and you. No visitors without my explicit approval. No information released to anyone." "Lila, you're scaring me. What's going on?" "I can't explain right now, but please, just do this. Keep her safe." "Of course. But Lila, Emma's been asking about you more than usual. She wants to know why you haven't visited in person for 3 months. The phone calls aren't enough anymore. Guilt twisted in Lila's chest. She'd stopped visiting when she started showing. Didn't want Emma to know about the pregnancy until she could explain everything properly. Didn't want her sister to worry. Tell her I love her. Tell her I'll visit as soon as I can. And Dr. Patterson, if anything happens, anything at all, you call me immediately. I will. Lila, take care of yourself. She hung up and handed the phone back to Marcus. Serena knows about Emma. She tried to get information about her treatment, which means she knows the one person you'd do anything to protect besides the baby. We need to move Emma somewhere else, somewhere safer. We need to tell Adrian. Marcus was already texting. This changes everything. How? Because now we know the play. Serena doesn't just want to hurt you, she wants leverage. She wants something she can use to control you, to manipulate you into doing whatever she wants. What could she possibly want from me? Marcus looked up from his phone. To leave Adrian again? Publicly. Permanently. With enough pain that he never recovers. The hospital room suddenly felt too small. Dr. Chen, who'd been quiet during the entire exchange, spoke up. Your blood pressure just spiked. I need you to calm down. How am I supposed to calm down? My sister's in danger. My baby's in danger. Adrian's gone dark doing who knows what. And apparently there's some elaborate revenge plot that... Lila stopped, took a breath. Another. I'm okay. I'm fine. She wasn't fine. The baby was kicking frantically, responding to her stress. Her head was pounding. Her hands were shaking. That's it. Dr. Chen moved to the IV stand. I'm giving you something to help you relax. No, I need to stay alert. You need to not go into premature labor. The baby's heart rate is elevated. Your contractions are starting. I'm not having contractions. You are. Braxton Hicks, probably, but we're not taking chances. Dr. Chen's voice was gentle but absolute. This medication won't knock you out. It'll just take the edge off. Let your body relax enough that the baby can settle. Lila wanted to argue, wanted to stay sharp and ready. But another contraction, mild but unmistakable, rippled through her belly. Okay, she whispered. Okay, do it. The medication worked fast. Within minutes, the panic started to recede, replaced by a floaty distance that made everything feel less immediate. The baby's kicks slowed. Her heartbeat steadied. That's better. Dr. Chen adjusted the monitors. Now you're going to rest, really rest. And when you wake up, hopefully we'll have some answers. Lila's eyes were already closing. Marcus? Still here. If Adrian calls, if he finally answers, tell him... What? Tell him she loved him? Tell him to be careful? Tell him not to become a monster? Tell him I trust him. It was a lie. Or maybe it wasn't. She was too tired to know the difference. Sleep pulled her under like a tide. She woke to voices arguing in hushed tones, and the city lit up like a circuit board beyond her window. Night had fallen completely. Can't just barge in here while she's sleeping? She'll want to know. She needs to know. Adrian's voice, sharp with exhaustion, and something else, something that sounded like barely controlled rage. Lila opened her eyes. I'm awake. He was at her bedside immediately, still in the same clothes from earlier, now rumpled and stained with something dark on the sleeve. His hair was disheveled. His face was hard, but his hand, when it touched her face, was gentle. How are you feeling? Tired? Confused? Slightly drugged? Lila caught his hand, held it. What happened? Where have you been? Adrian glanced at Dr. Chen, who was hovering protectively nearby. Can we have a moment? 5 minutes. Then she needs to rest again. After the door closed, Adrian sank into the chair beside her bed. He looked wrecked, older than his 40 years, like he'd aged a decade in the hours since she'd seen him. I found out who sent those men to the clinic, he said. Who? Vincent Castellano. The name meant nothing to Lila. He runs the port district. We've been negotiating territory for months. I thought we had a deal. Turns out he had other plans. Adrian's voice was flat. He wanted to use you as leverage, force me to give up more territory in exchange for your safety. When I refused to negotiate, he decided to take you anyway. How do you know this? Because I asked him, directly. The way Adrian said it made Lila's stomach turn. What did you do? What I had to do. He stood, paced to the window. Vincent Castellano is no longer a problem. His organization is being absorbed into mine. The port district is secure, and everyone in this city now knows exactly what happens when someone threatens you. Adrian, did you kill him? He turned to face her. Do you really want to know? Yes. No, you don't. You want to maintain plausible deniability. You want to be able to tell yourself that I handled it legally, properly, without crossing the lines you drew. But Lila, I can't give you that comfort, not this time. Tears burned in her eyes. You promised you wouldn't become, I didn't promise that. You asked me to promise, and I didn't answer. Because I knew. I knew that if it came down to your safety or my soul, I'd choose you every time. I can't, her voice broke. I can't be the reason you destroy yourself. You're not the reason. The world I live in is the reason. The choices I made long before I met you are the reason. You're just the first thing I've ever cared about, more than power. Adrian came back to the bed, knelt beside it. And I don't regret it. Any of it. I'd do it again tomorrow if it meant you and our baby are safe. What about Serena? She took your deal. Marcus is arranging transport out of the country tomorrow. Switzerland, I think. Far enough away that she can't cause problems. Close enough to good psychiatric care that she might actually get help. You're letting her go? You asked me to, so I am. Adrian's smile was bitter. See, I can follow instructions when it matters. That's not funny. No, it's not. He took her hand, pressed it to his chest. His heart was racing. I'm not the man you fell in love with anymore. Maybe I never was. Maybe you fell in love with who you hoped I could be, and I've just been disappointing you ever since. Stop it. It's true, though, isn't it? You wanted me to be better, to choose mercy over violence, to trust the system. And I can't, Lila. I can't be that man because that man wouldn't be able to protect you in the world I live in. Lila pulled him closer, forced him to look at her. Then maybe we need to leave that world. Adrian went very still. What? Leave. Both of us. Take the baby and go somewhere quiet. Somewhere your enemies can't find us. Somewhere you can be Adrian instead of Adrian Vale, crime lord. You're serious. Why not? You have enough money to disappear, enough resources to start over. We could have a normal life. There's no such thing as normal for people like us. Running doesn't erase the past. It just postpones the reckoning. Then we face the reckoning together, but we do it away from here, away from the constant violence and the threats and the impossible choices. Adrian stared at her like she'd just offered him salvation and damnation in the same breath. You'd do that? Leave your job, your life, everything you built? I already left once. I can do it again. But this time I'd be leaving with you instead of away from you. What about Emma? Lila's breath caught. How do you know about Emma? Marcus told me, after you fell asleep, he thought I should know. Adrian's voice softened. You have a sister. You've been taking care of her for 8 years, and you never told me. I was afraid you'd try to fix it, try to find better doctors or move her to a different facility or throw money at the problem until you felt like you'd solved it. Would that have been so terrible? Yes, because Emma isn't a problem to solve. She's a person, my sister. And she needs consistency and familiarity and doctors who've been treating her for years. Not some fancy new facility just because my husband has money. Ex-husband. Technically, Lila's voice was quiet. But Adrian, if we're going to do this, if we're going to try again, I need you to understand something. I have responsibilities beyond us. Emma needs me. I call her every Tuesday because that routine keeps her grounded. I visit when I can because seeing me helps her remember who she was before the illness. I can't just abandon her. I would never ask you to. You might. If keeping her in my life puts the baby at risk. If Emma's location becomes a vulnerability someone could exploit. Adrian was quiet for a long moment. What if we brought her with us? What? Wherever we go, whatever new life we build, what if we made sure she was part of it, found her doctors there, set up her care, made sure you could still see her, still be her sister? Lila's eyes filled with tears. You'd do that? Lila, I'd do anything. I thought I'd proven that by now. His voice was rough. I don't just want you, I want all of you. The parts you showed me and the parts you hid. The strength and the vulnerability. The woman who fell in love with me and the woman who was smart enough to leave. I want the whole messy, complicated truth of you. Even if it means building a life completely different from the one you have. Especially then. Adrian stood, pulled her up carefully into his arms. My life now is power and control and constant warfare. It's exhausting. It's empty. And the only time I've ever felt like it meant something was when you were in it. Lila buried her face in his chest, breathing in the familiar scent of him, expensive cologne and coffee, and something uniquely Adrian. I'm scared. Of what? That we'll try this and fail again. That I'll disappoint you, that you'll resent me for making you give up your empire. That the baby will grow up watching us destroy each other slowly. Or, Adrian said quietly, we'll try this and succeed. We'll build something real. We'll raise our child in a home full of love instead of fear. And we'll prove that people actually can change if they want it badly enough. You really believe that? I have to. Because if I don't believe people can change, then I have to believe I'm exactly what my enemies say I am. A monster. A lost cause. Someone beyond redemption. He pulled back just enough to look at her. But when I'm with you, when I look at your face and feel our baby moving, I think maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm just a man who made terrible choices and is finally getting a chance to make better ones. The baby kicked, hard and insistent, right where Adrian's hand rested on Lila's stomach. They both laughed, surprised, relieved, overwhelmed. They're strong, Adrian said. They take after their father. Let's hope they take after their mother, stubborn, brave, unwilling to settle for anything less than what they deserve. Dr. Chen cleared her throat from the doorway. 5 minutes was up 10 minutes ago. Lila needs rest. 1 more minute, Lila said. Please. Dr. Chen sighed, but nodded. Adrian cupped Lila's face in both hands. I'm going to fix this. All of it. The threats, the danger. Everything that's keeping us from having a normal life. And then we're going to leave. All 3 of us. Maybe all 4, if Emma's well enough to travel. We'll find somewhere quiet and safe and so boring that our biggest decision will be what to have for breakfast. I don't believe that for a second. You should. Because I'm serious, Lila. I'll walk away from all of it. The empire, the power, the reputation. I'll be nobody if that's what it takes to be somebody to you. You've always been somebody to me. That was never the question. Then what was the question? Whether you could see me as somebody too. As an equal instead of something to protect and control. I see you. Adrian's voice was fierce. I see you so clearly it terrifies me. Because you're stronger than I am, braver than I am, and you deserve better than what I've given you. But I'm asking for another chance anyway. Not because I deserve it, but because I love you. And I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of you loving me back. Lila kissed him. Soft and slow and full of every complicated feeling she'd been carrying for 6 months. When they pulled apart, she was crying. So was he. We're going to be okay, she whispered. Promise? I don't make promises I can't keep, but I believe it. That has to be enough. It's more than enough. It's everything. Dr. Chen was back, physically ushering Adrian toward the door. Out, now, before I sedate you too. Adrian went, but he looked back at Lila one more time. Get some rest. When you wake up, we'll start planning our escape. Our escape? I like the sound of that. So do I. After he left, the room felt bigger and emptier, but also lighter somehow. Like a weight Lila had been carrying had finally been set down. Dr. Chen adjusted her pillows, checked her monitors. Your blood pressure's better. Baby's heart rate is good. Whatever you two talked about, it helped. We talked about hope. Hope's good medicine, Dr. Chen smiled. Better than anything I can prescribe. Lila settled back against the pillows, one hand on her stomach. The baby had calmed, their movements gentle now instead of frantic. We're going to be okay, she whispered to them. Your father and I are going to figure this out. We're going to give you a life worth living, I promise. This promise, at least, she intended to keep, even if it meant leaving everything behind, even if it meant starting over from nothing. Because nothing with Adrian and their child was worth more than everything without them. She closed her eyes and let sleep take her again, dreaming of quiet mornings and safe homes and a future where love was enough. The contraction started 3 days later. Real ones this time, not the practice kind. Lila woke at 4 in the morning with pain radiating through her lower back, sharp enough to steal her breath. Too early. The baby was only 27 weeks. Too small, too fragile, too unprepared for the world outside. Dr. Chen was there within minutes, summoned by the monitors that tracked every heartbeat, every contraction, every sign of distress. "How long?" she asked, her hands already moving efficiently, checking dilation, assessing the situation. "Just started. Maybe 20 minutes. Lila gripped the bed rail as another contraction rolled through. "It's too soon. We need to stop it." "We're going to try. But Lila, I need you to stay calm. Stress makes it worse." Staying calm while her body was trying to evict a baby. 14 weeks too early seemed like an impossible ask, but Lila nodded anyway. "Doctor." Chen was already on the phone, calling in specialists, ordering medications. The room filled with people, nurses, a neonatal team standing by, equipment being wheeled in that Lila didn't want to think about. And Adrian, appearing in the doorway like he'd materialized from her fear itself. "I'm here." He was at her side instantly, taking her hand. "I'm right here." "It's too early. The baby is going to be fine. You're both going to be fine." His voice was absolute, like he could command reality itself to obey. Another contraction hit, stronger this time. Lila heard herself make a sound she didn't recognize, animal and desperate. "We're giving you medication to slow the contractions," Dr. Chen said. "Steroids for the baby's lungs in case we can't stop this. And we're monitoring continuously. If the baby shows any distress, we'll do an emergency C-section." No, we have to stop it. We have to—" "Lila, breathe." Adrian's face filled her vision. "Look at me. Just at me. Breathe with me." She did, matching her breath to his, in and out, steady, anchoring. The medication helped. Over the next hour, the contractions slowed, then stopped. The baby's heartbeat remained strong, crisis averted. For now. "Bed rest," Dr. Chen said firmly. "Complete. No getting up except to use the bathroom. No stress. No visitors except Adrian. We're keeping you here until the baby's viable." "How long?" "At least 6 more weeks, preferably 10. 6 weeks in a hospital bed. 6 weeks of waiting and worrying and hoping her body didn't betray her again. Lila looked at Adrian, expecting to see frustration or impatience. Instead, she saw only relief. "Whatever it takes," he said. "I'll be here." "You can't stay here for 6 weeks. You have—" She stopped. He didn't have an empire anymore. Not really. He'd been systematically dismantling it, transferring power, liquidating assets, preparing for the life they'd talked about. "I have exactly where I need to be," Adrian finished for her. "Right here." After the medical team left and it was just the two of them in the quiet room, Lila finally let herself break down. All the fear she'd been holding in, all the exhaustion, all the overwhelming terror of almost losing their child. Adrian held her while she cried, saying nothing, just being present. "I'm scared," she whispered against his chest. "I know. What if we can't keep them safe? What if my body can't do this?" "Then we deal with it, together. But Lila, you're the strongest person I know. If anyone can do this, it's you." "I don't feel strong. I feel terrified and tired and like I'm failing before I've even begun." "You're not failing. You're fighting. There's a difference." Adrian pulled back to look at her. "And you're not doing it alone. Not anymore." Over the next 2 weeks, they built a strange kind of routine in that hospital room. Adrian brought her books she couldn't focus on and food she couldn't eat, and stories about the world outside that felt increasingly distant. Marcus visited with updates on the dismantling of Adrian's empire. Territory transferred to trusted people who'd run it legitimately. Money moved into offshore accounts and investment portfolios. The penthouse sold. The whole infrastructure of Adrian Vale's criminal enterprise being carefully, methodically erased. "People are talking," Marcus said one afternoon while Lila dozed. "They want to know why you're walking away." "Let them talk," Adrian said. "Some of them aren't just talking, they're positioning, trying to grab power while you're distracted." "Then let them have it." "I'm done, Marcus." "Are you?" "Because, boss, once you're out, you're out. There's no coming back from this. If you change your mind in a year, in 5 years, the door's closed." "Good. I don't want the option to come back." Adrian's voice was firm. I want to be so far removed from that life that my child doesn't even know it existed. Lila opened her eyes, listening. She hadn't realized Adrian was this far along in his plans. This committed. Marcus saw she was awake. Hey, how are you feeling? Like an incubator. How's the outside world? Chaotic. Your husband's causing quite the stir by retiring. Ex-husband, Lila said automatically. Adrian raised an eyebrow. Are we still doing that? I don't know. Are we? I'd prefer not, but I'm trying to let you make your own decisions. How progressive of you. Marcus cleared his throat. I'll give you 2 a minute. Lila, Dr. Chen wants to see you in an hour for a checkup. But after he left, Adrian moved to sit on the edge of her bed. Do you want to talk about it? About what? About whether we're still married or divorced or something in between. Lila considered. We're divorced, legally, but emotionally I think we're something else, something without a name yet. I can work with that. Adrian took her hand. For what it's worth, I'd marry you again tomorrow, right here in this hospital room. No fancy ceremony, no guests, just us and whatever officiant we could find willing to perform a bedside wedding for a pregnant woman and a reformed crime lord. Reformed? You sure about that? I'm trying to be. Doesn't that count for something? It counts for everything. Lila squeezed his hand. But Adrian, I need to know you're doing this for the right reasons. You're not just walking away from your empire because you're afraid of losing me. You're doing it because you actually want a different life. I want whatever life has you in it. Everything else is negotiable. That's what I'm afraid of. Because what happens when the novelty wears off? When you're living in some quiet suburb, working a normal job, dealing with dirty diapers and school meetings and all the mundane parts of family life? Will you resent me for taking away your power? Adrian was quiet for a long moment. Do you want the truth? Always. I'm terrified I'll be terrible at it. At being normal. At being just a husband and father instead of someone people fear. But I'm more terrified of being good at the wrong things. Of raising our child in a world where violence is the solution and power is the goal and love is weakness. He looked at her with raw honesty. I'd rather fail at being normal than succeed at being what I was. You weren't all bad. You built something from nothing. You protected people who worked for you. You had moments of mercy. Moments aren't enough. I want a life made of mercy, of small kindnesses, of being the kind of man our child is proud to call father. Adrian's voice dropped. And I want to be the kind of man you chose, not the kind you settled for, because I backed you into a corner. You're not backing me into a corner now. No? No. You're giving me the space to choose, to decide what I want, to be an equal partner in this decision. Lila brought his hand to her lips. That's the difference, Adrian. That's what I needed from you all along. He kissed her forehead, gentle and reverent. I love you. In case I haven't said it enough. You've said it, but I don't mind hearing it again. I love you. I love our baby. I love the future we're building, even though it terrifies me, and I promise I'll do everything in my power to be worthy of this second chance. Third chance, technically. Maybe fourth. I've lost count. Adrian laughed, actually laughed, and the sound filled the room with something that felt dangerously like joy. The weeks crawled by with agonizing slowness. 28 weeks became 30. 30 became 32. Each day the baby stayed inside was a victory. Each ultrasound showing healthy development was a gift. Emma visited in week 33. Dr. Patterson brought her personally, having cleared it with Adrian's security and Lila's doctors. It was the first time Lila had seen her sister in 4 months. Emma looked good, stable. The medication was working. She smiled when she saw Lila, though there was confusion in her eyes at the hospital setting. You're pregnant, Emma said, sitting carefully in the chair beside the bed. You didn't tell me. I know. I'm sorry. Everything got complicated. Complicated how? Lila glanced at Adrian, who'd stepped back to give them space. Emma, this is Adrian. We used to be married. Now we're figuring things out. Emma studied Adrian with the disconcerting intensity that came with her illness. You're the one who hurt her. Yes, Adrian said simply. I am. Are you going to hurt her again? I'm going to try very hard not to. That's not a promise. No, it's not. Because I've learned that promises without action are meaningless. So instead of promising, I'm just going to keep choosing her every day and hoping that's enough. Emma looked at Lila. Do you believe him? I'm trying to. That's very brave or very stupid. I can't tell which. Lila smiled. With me, it's usually both. They talked for an hour, carefully avoiding topics that might trigger Emma's paranoia, sticking to safe subjects like books and memories from childhood. When Dr. Patterson said it was time to go, Emma hugged Lila tightly. I'm going to be an aunt, she whispered. That's good. I've always wanted family. You've always had family. Me. I know, but now there's going to be more of us. That makes me happy. Emma pulled back. Don't name the baby after me, though. Emma's a terrible name. I'll take it under consideration. After they left, Adrian came back to sit beside her. She's lovely. She's complicated. The illness makes her say things she doesn't mean sometimes, makes her afraid of things that aren't real. Sounds familiar. Lila looked at him sharply. What do you mean? I spent years being afraid of things that weren't real. Connection, vulnerability, the possibility that love might actually be worth the risk. Adrian took her hand. Your sister's fighting a chemical imbalance in her brain. I was just fighting my own stupidity. She's braver than I ever was. We're going to make sure she's taken care of when we leave, when we start over. Already handled. I've been in contact with a facility in Colorado. Small, private, excellent care. Close enough that you can visit regularly, but far enough from here that she'll be safe from anything connected to my old life. You did that without telling me? I did the research without telling you. I wasn't going to commit to anything without your approval. Is that okay? It was more than okay. It was exactly what Lila had needed. Adrian taking initiative, but respecting her boundaries. Taking care of things while still including her in the decisions. Thank you, she said. Really? Thank you. You don't have to thank me for taking care of the people you love. That's just part of loving you. Week 34 came with another scare. More contractions, more monitoring, more medication to stop labor. But this time, Dr. Chen was less worried. 34 weeks is viable, she said. If the baby comes now, they'll need NICU time, but the survival rate is excellent. Lung development looks good. Weight is on track. So we could stop fighting it? Lila asked. Just let nature take its course? We could, but every day they stay inside is better. Stronger lungs, better weight, less time in the hospital after birth. Then we keep fighting. Adrian had been quiet through the whole discussion. Now he spoke up. What does Lila need to make it to week 37? Rest, low stress, continued monitoring, and a lot of luck. I can't control luck, but the rest of it, we can manage. Adrian looked at Lila. What do you need from me? To make these last few weeks easier? Just be here, that's all. Just keep being here. I'm not going anywhere. He kept that promise. Through week 35, 36, 37. He slept in the chair beside her bed, leaving only for quick showers and the occasional meeting with lawyers finalizing the dissolution of his empire. Marcus brought the final papers in week 38. That's it, he said, setting them on the table. Sign these and you're officially retired. No more territory. No more organization. Just a very wealthy private citizen with no ties to anything illegal. Adrian read through them carefully, then looked at Lila. Any second thoughts? Last chance to tell me I'm making a massive mistake. I think you're making a massive leap of faith. But no second thoughts. He signed. Bold, decisive strokes that ended an era. How does it feel? Marcus asked. Lighter than I expected. Scarier than I want to admit. Adrian set down the pen. What about you? What are you going to do? I've had some offers. Security consulting, legitimate work with companies that need someone who understands threats. Marcus smiled slightly. Turns out my skills are transferable. You'll stay in touch? Try and stop me. Someone's got to make sure you don't go completely soft in your retirement. I'm going to be a father to a newborn. I don't think soft is an option. They shared a look. 15 years of history, of loyalty, of friendship built in darkness, and somehow surviving into the light. Thank you, Adrian said, for everything, for keeping me honest, for calling me on my worst impulses, for being the one person who never let me get away with anything. That's what friends do. Marcus stood. Now finish growing that baby so I can meet my godchild. You want to be godfather? Someone's got to teach them how to throw a proper punch. Might as well be me. After he left, Adrian climbed carefully onto the hospital bed beside Lila, mindful of the monitors and IV lines. A proper punch? Lila murmured. That's what you want our child learning? From Marcus? Absolutely. The man's a professional. Besides, every kid should know basic self-defense. They're going to be 3 days old. Never too early to start. Lila laughed, and the baby, who'd been quiet all day, suddenly kicked so hard Adrian felt it against his side. They heard you, he said, wonder in his voice. They know I'm here. They've been hearing you for months, your voice, your heartbeat when you hold me. They know their father. I hope that's a good thing. It's the best thing. Labor started naturally at 39 weeks and 2 days. Lila woke at dawn to her water breaking and contractions coming steady and strong. Dr. Chen arrived, assessed her, and smiled. This is it, real labor. Are you ready? No. Yes. I don't know. Lila gripped Adrian's hand. Is anyone ever ready? Not in my experience, but you're going to do beautifully. Labor was long and hard, and nothing like Lila had imagined. The pain was manageable until it wasn't. The exhaustion was bearable until it became everything. And through it all, Adrian was there, holding her hand, breathing with her, telling her she was strong even when she felt weak. I can't, she said at hour 12, sweating and crying and ready to give up. I can't do this. You can. You are. You're almost there. You don't know that. I do, because I know you. And you've never quit anything in your life. You're not starting now. Dr. Chen checked her progress. Fully dilated. It's time to push. The next 40 minutes were a blur of effort and pain, and Dr. Chen's calm voice guiding her through each push. Adrian never let go of her hand, never looked away, never wavered. And then at 4:47 p.m. on a Tuesday in late autumn, their daughter entered the world crying. She's perfect, Dr. Chen said, placing the baby on Lila's chest. Completely perfect. Lila looked down at the tiny, furious creature in her arms, red-faced and screaming and more beautiful than anything she'd ever seen. We have a daughter, she whispered. We have a daughter, Adrian echoed, his voice thick with tears. The baby had dark hair like Adrian's and Lila's dark eyes, tiny fists waving in outrage at being evicted from her comfortable home, lungs that worked perfectly, filling the room with healthy cries. Does she have a name? Dr. Chen asked. Lila looked at Adrian. They'd discussed names but never settled on one, waiting to meet the baby first. Grace, Adrian said. Grace Elena. Elena had been Lila's mother's name. Grace was simply who this baby was, pure grace, unearned and overwhelming. Grace Elena Vale Monroe, Lila said, testing it. What do you think? The baby stopped crying, as if considering. Then she opened her eyes, dark and unfocused, but searching, and seemed to find her mother's face. I think she approves, Adrian said. They stayed like that for a long time, the three of them together, the rest of the world forgotten. Dr. Chen and the nurses moved around them efficiently, checking vitals and cleaning up, but Lila barely noticed. This was everything. This moment. This child. This man beside her who'd traveled so far to become someone worthy of this family. Thank you, Adrian whispered, kissing Lila's temple. Thank you for her, for giving us another chance, for believing I could be better. Thank you for actually being better, for doing the hard work, for choosing us over everything else. Grace made a small sound, not quite a cry, more like a comment on their sentimentality. She's got opinions already, Lila said, smiling. She's your daughter. Of course she does. 3 days later, they left the hospital. Not to Adrian's penthouse, which had been sold. Not to the safe house, or the clinic, or any of the temporary spaces they'd inhabited during the chaos. They went to a small house in a quiet neighborhood 2 hours north of the city. Nothing fancy. 3 bedrooms, a yard, normal. Lila stood in the living room holding Grace, while Adrian brought in boxes from the car. The house was mostly empty. They'd start over with furniture, with belongings, with everything. It's not much, Adrian said, coming to stand beside her. It's perfect. You're just saying that because you're exhausted and in love with our baby. No, I'm saying it because it's true. This house, this life, this chance to start over, it's exactly what we need. Adrian wrapped his arms around both of them, careful of Grace sleeping peacefully against Lila's chest. I love you, both of you, more than I thought it was possible to love anything. We love you too, even when you drive us crazy. Which will be often, if history's any indication. Probably. But we'll figure it out, together. Grace stirred, made a small sound, settled again. Should we get married again? Adrian asked suddenly. Make it official? We're already official. We have a birth certificate with both our names on it. A daughter. A house. A future plan together. We don't need a piece of paper to make it real. I want the piece of paper. I want the promise. I want to stand in front of whoever will listen and commit to being your partner, your equal, your husband in more than just memory. Lila turned to look at him. You're serious. Completely. No big wedding, no press, no announcement. Just us and Grace and whatever officiant we can find willing to perform a living room ceremony for two people who've already been divorced once. When? Whenever you're ready. Tomorrow. Next month. Next year. I'm not going anywhere. Lila thought about it, about the years they'd spent apart, about the pain and growth that had brought them here, about the future they were building from scratch. Next week, she said. When Emma can be here. When Grace is a little more settled. We'll do it next week. Next week. Adrian kissed her, soft and sweet. I'll make the arrangements. Nothing fancy. I promise, just us, our daughter, your sister, Marcus as witness, and a commitment to spend the rest of our lives figuring this out together. That sounds perfect. They stood like that in their empty living room, holding each other and their daughter, while outside the autumn light faded into evening. Somewhere in the city they'd left behind, Adrian's empire was being redistributed, his territory carved up, his reputation slowly fading into legend. But here, in this small house, in this quiet neighborhood, none of that mattered. Here, he was just Adrian, husband, father, man trying to be better. And that was enough, more than enough. It was everything. Lila's phone buzzed. She'd almost forgotten about it, the secure phone Marcus had given her weeks ago. She checked it, expecting Marcus with some final detail about the transition. Instead, it was a message from an unknown number. Her heart stopped. After everything, after all the careful planning and escape, someone had found this number. She opened it. Congratulations on the baby. I heard she's beautiful. You were right. About mercy, about second chances, about people being able to change. I'm in Zurich now, starting therapy, trying to be better. Thank you for giving me the choice. I won't waste it. S. Serena. Lila showed the message to Adrian. His expression darkened, then cleared. Should I be worried? She asked. No. If she's in Zurich getting help, that's the best outcome we could hope for. He paused. Do you believe her? That she's actually trying to change? I want to. Whether I'm being naive or optimistic, I'm not sure, but I think everyone deserves the chance to try. Even her? Especially her, because if she can change, if someone that damaged can find their way to something better, then there's hope for everyone. Adrian considered this. You're a better person than I am. No, I'm just someone who's seen what mercy can do. You showed me that, by choosing to change instead of staying what you were. I didn't do it alone. Neither will she, but at least she's trying. That's more than she was doing before. Lila deleted the message, then turned off the phone completely. That part of their lives was over. The threats, the fear, the constant looking over their shoulders. Now there was just this. Their family, their future. Their choice to build something new from the ashes of what was. Grace woke up crying, hungry and demanding. Lila settled into the one chair they'd brought, a rocking chair that had been in Adrian's penthouse, the only piece of his old life he'd insisted on keeping. As she fed their daughter, Adrian unpacked boxes in the kitchen, and somewhere down the street a dog barked and children played and life happened in all its ordinary, extraordinary beauty. This was peace. This was home. This was the life they'd fought so hard to reach. And as the evening deepened and Grace fell back asleep and Adrian came to sit beside them, Lila felt something she hadn't felt in years. Complete. Whole. Safe. Not because Adrian controlled their world or eliminated their threats or built walls around them, but because they'd chosen each other. Every day. Through the chaos and fear and impossible odds. They'd chosen love over power, trust over control, partnership over possession. And in that choice, they'd found freedom. "What are you thinking?" Adrian asked quietly. "That we made it. Against all odds, we actually made it." "We did. Together." "Together," Lila agreed, taking his hand. And in that small house, in that quiet moment, with their daughter sleeping peacefully between them, they began their new life. Not perfect, not without challenges ahead, but theirs. Completely, wholly, beautifully theirs.